Hey Vanessa, welcome to your first Gypsy Jazz Violin lesson. I'm super excited that you were interested in taking me up on this because it gives me a chance to practice more than I have been because this online learning has meant that a lot of my time is going towards helping the little kids have some fun with musical games and stuff like that. So this is a good chance for me to do something a little bit more exciting than than little games for 5 and 6 year olds, which I love, but this is my first love, playing this instrument. So the book that I have for us to work in is this. It's Mel Bay publication, Getting into Gypsy Jazz Violin. It's one that I've gone through and referenced for myself and for teaching materials for a few years now. It has a practice track with it, which we'll be using. So I would recommend, if you can, order it for yourself. I think it's a good resource to have. I'm always for ordering a book to have your own copy of it. However, I know that maybe that's not an option, so I will send week to week. I'll send some pictures of PDF files of what we're working on. I don't have a disk drive right now, but I'll figure out a way to get you the practice track as well. I might just have to run out to the store and get it. So I'll figure out how to get you those two things week to week, but ultimately, I recommend having your own copy of this because then you can progress as far as you want to, and once we're back in school, you have this resource for as long as you want it. So that being said, we're going to work on the first 2 pages of this book. It's working on a song called Minor Swing. So that is your first assignment for me, is going and listening to Django Reinhardt playing, and Stefan Grappelli. Django Reinhardt is the guitar player, Stefan Grappelli is the Gypsy Jazz violin player, and getting those sounds in your ears. So going and listening to their original version of Minor Swing. Gypsy jazz as a genre of music is from the 30s. Django Reinhardt was European of Gypsy descent, and he and Stefan Grappelli invented this genre as traveling musicians in French clubs and bistros and stuff like that. And it became a super dense style of music for musicians to play. There's a lot of music theory that goes behind it, and jazz theory. It's a style of jazz played with guitar and violin and upright bass. Sometimes you'll have drums, but usually the percussive sounds are coming from the are coming from the guitar. So again, first assignment is to go listen to at least Minor Swing. I recommend listening to a bunch more just to get these sounds in your ears. I will give you a list of albums to go listen to, starting with Django Reinhardt and Stefan Grappelli, and then going to my teacher, Jason Anik, who I worked with during school. He's a brilliant contemporary gypsy jazz violinist, and has a band and does really cool stuff. So I will give you all of that stuff to listen to. So do that first. When you've done that, come back to this video and we're going to get started with something called blanketing. All right, so this track that we're going to play the next part with is something that we'll keep going back to as we add more vocabulary. That's one of our main goals right now, is just building some left-hand vocabulary and some confidence with this style of bowing that's going to be a little bit different compared to stuff that you've probably done. So this track is just a backup track to the tune Minor Swing that you've already gone and listened to, right? What we're going to do with this first pass through it is play the root motion. So in the PDF, you'll see that above the staff, there are chords listed. So we go from the A minor 7 to A minor 7 to D minor 7 to D minor 7. We're playing the root motion of these. So let's try that together and we'll see how it goes. I want you to try this just first with open strings, and then I'll have something a little bit more challenging in a second. So here we go. to do next though is, instead of playing the opens, I want it all to be on the G string. But I want you to slide up to the D, slide up to the E, and then slide back down to the A. So you're sliding between your notes. So we've got A, slide up to third position, so you're playing the D with your second finger, but you've got that nice slide. To E. That one's a little bit harder because you're changing fingers with it. So you might have to work outside of the backup track to figure out, how do I do this without hearing that finger change? Same deal with A to D, because you're going from your first finger to your second finger. So that's what I want you to do before you put it with the backtrack, is explore how can I make these slides, because that's a very stylistic thing. So it's how can I make these slides without hearing the finger change. Once you have that, let's go ahead and we're going to do the backup track again. And I'm going to turn it up a little bit. That should be good.
1, 2,
with sliding.
2, 3, 4.
Take your time getting to the notes. You don't have to get there on the downbeat. It can be after the start of a new measure. All right, so, oops. All right, so you've got that backtrack. You can explore different ways to play the root motion. So you can do it in the lower octave, you can do it sliding, you can do it in the upper octave, you can even do it way up here if you'd like to. That is yours to explore. Yeah. All right, the next thing we're going to do is track number 3. It's exercise 1.1 in the book. So just before that, in the PDF, you'll be able to read a little excerpt about bowing in this style. Summarize, we're dealing with the upper half of the bow. So we've got some light movements. We're getting used to some up bows that might be a little bit different, a little bit new. And yeah, so that's what we're going to be focusing on, is light bows and getting used to a different style of up bow that's a bit articulated. And yeah, you'll see as we keep going. So this exercise has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different ways to phrase the A natural minor scale. So the A natural minor scale has no accidentals. It's basically your C scale, but starting from A. So without the track, let's just do it at a tempo right here. 1, 2, A minor, 2 octaves. Natural. Back down. All right, so I used full bows, just getting used to the notes. Reminder that C natural, F natural, low 1. That's the tricky one, because you've got your pattern and then all of a sudden you get to an E string and your pattern is a little bit disrupted. So make sure that you have those notes under your fingers before you move on. If that means that you're pausing the video here to work on that scale, do it. All right, but moving forward, what we're going to do is work on this top half of the bow. All right, so we've got our tempo right here. 1, 2, ready, go. So what you can do, video yourself, watch yourself in a mirror. That's one of my favorite ways to practice. Excuse me. I've been recording videos all day, so my voice is a little hoarse. So anyhow, one of my favorite ways to practice violin is looking in the mirror, because it's you can take so many visual cues from watching yourself to make adjustments. So make sure that you are in the top half of the bow. Now, the other 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 exercises are ones that I want you to practice isolated first before putting them all together, because this exercise is supposed to start with your quarter note scale and go all the way to your 16th note scales. But you need to practice each of them, make sure that you have them under your fingers, that you're using proper bow technique before you move on to putting them all together up to speed with the practice track. So what we'll do today is work through all of them in that isolated way, so one by one. And then your goal for this week will be to get them up to speed and practice them from start to finish. That might be a hefty goal. You know, I'm not sure how quickly you're planning to pick this, or how quickly you're going to pick this up. So this being our first lesson, that's a goal, and we can reevaluate how realistic it is, if it needs to be a little bit heftier of a goal, or if we need to slow down. We can figure that out. But that's what I would like you to try for. So our next one is 8th notes. We've got double 8th notes. So, and of course, because it's jazz, we are swinging this. So, yeah, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. I didn't hold that out quite long enough. You'll notice that my down bow is not as strong as my down bow, sorry, is stronger than my up bow. When I'm going up, I'm kind of dragging the bow a little bit. I'm accenting it. I'm accenting the down bow and letting the up bow be the weaker stress. So something that we can do to get used to that is just on our root. And you can think of it as a circle with your bow, like this. A counterclockwise circle. Always starting with the down bow here. All right, so that's that exercise. The next one is basically the same thing, but now we are slurring every other note. So we're starting with the down bow, and on that up bow, we're slurring to the next note, to the B. So it sounds like this. So 1, 2, ready, go. I should be practicing with the metronome here, so from now on I'm adding a metronome. I have this metronome that I can tap the tempo I was at. It's called Pro Metronome. It was a free app, and yeah, it's pretty handy. So we were at 80. I figured that out by just tapping it. So let's try that one again with the metronome. 1, 2, ready, go. All right. So that's that one. Make sure that you are practicing with the metronome. 80 beats is about where I think the backtrack is. So that's a good place to start. Some of these next ones you might want to start a little bit slower as we're developing those patterns. That might be a new thing. So the next one is quite similar. You can read it in the PDF that I sent, but we've got, which is the same, but then we go. Sorry, it's not the same. I just looked at it and actually read it instead of making it up. So we've got A, B, C, D, and we're just getting used to using the scale to create patterns. This next one does that. So it goes do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, te, do, and so on up. So yeah, put the metronome on and give it a try. 1, 2, ready, go. So a few things to note with this exercise. The bowing, the bow direction is so important. That's kind of the whole point of this, is it's getting used to these patterns and stylistically accurate ways to bow them. So make sure that you're getting that. The anticipation to beat 3, ba, ba, da, ba, is just like the piece that you've been playing with Mr. Callan. He's really worked on that kind of anticipation. I can't remember the piece or the context, but I know that you've done that. So practice this one. Make sure that you are paying close attention to those elements of it. That was about 80 beats per minute. That's pretty good. You can do it faster, you can do it slower. All will help you. The next one, you might want to start a little bit slower, maybe 60, which is about right here. And now this is dealing with triplets. Do, re, do, do, re, do. So we've got triplet, triplet. You could say blueberry, 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 blueberry. And we're just going up the scale and outlining our notes. So starting on A. Tricky to hear without the metronome, but you get it. So bring that up to 80 beats per minute. If you can do it faster, super cool. This is one that I try to practice it like as fast as I can, basically, especially going down, because this is a lick that I go to a lot. So I practice this in every key. So if I was to do it 1, 2, 3, 4. The last one is another one that you're going to have to start slow and bring back up to speed. So you're going from triplets in your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th scale here to you've got 16th notes. So similar theory as far as outlining notes to what's happening with the triplets. But we've got, let's do it nice and slow, 60. 1, 2, ready, go. my goodness. Sorry, I was practicing it going up and then down and then up and then down, so I forgot to stop at the A. I also made a mistake when I lost my focus. The other thing that I did not do accurately was I was doing full long bows. So make sure that throughout all of these exercises you are catching yourself, making sure that you are using this much bow, right? So let's try that a little bit faster. I won't mess up. 1, 2, 3, 4. The thing that I find trickiest is switching positions on the E string. So the second to last one before you switch to go back down the scale. I would practice switching between those two. I actually probably will go practice switching between those two. Make sure that you're nice and light when you're switching positions. It's easy to have a tendency to be really weighted and pushing down from your fingers, but make sure that you are up and over, that your wrist is forward a little bit, and that you're sliding your thumb forward too, that you're not trying to do this. Just a couple of technique things to keep in mind. All right, so that is all I have for you today. So your mission, you're starting with that backup track, playing the root motion, and then moving through these scale exercises. Metronome, 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 metronome. Make sure that you're practicing with the metronome. Bow length, bow length, bow length, bow length. Make sure that you are playing in the top half of the bow because it is important to get used to that stylistic aspect and staying nice and light with your up bows. So the down bow is where the accent is. The up bow is the weaker stress. And the slurs you'll see in the book, where the slurs are, where the bowings are marked, they're telling you about those accent points. So that's why that's really important. Practice them at metronome markings that are comfortable and work on cranking it up. The goal is about 80 so that you can play it with the practice track. Now, of course, the first one's going to be totally fine to do it at 80. The last one is not easy to do at 80. So that is your goal. I would like for you to, if you achieve that goal, perfect, great, video it and send it to me. If you're still working on it, find a metronome marker that you can do whichever one is hardest for you, probably the last one. Find that metronome marker and video yourself going through all of them. So if it's at 60, if it's lower than that, that's fine too. But video yourself going through exercise 1.1 scale exercises, starting with the quarter notes, going to the 16th notes. All right, let me know if you have any questions. Again, I'm super excited that I get to help you with this, that we get to work on this together. And yeah, all right, see you later. Bye.